and Tim's our timekeeper. They each get 3 minutes to have their opening. We're going to do one question that was from the committee. I'll draw randomly. We'll go in the order. Everyone gets 2 minutes to answer that question. Then everyone gets 1 minute to have a rebuttal. And then we'll go to the second question, which will be from the audience. We'll pick that out. And then the second person actually will be the first person. So we're going to go down the row of chances if everyone gets to be first. So, and please behave yourself. If there's any booing or whatever, you get 1 warning. The second time, you're please asked to leave.
Skip turning out now.
Now we're all grown-ups. I know we can behave. So, and how the timing will start is when they get up and start speaking. It actually starts when they start speaking. So, bathroom break, anything anybody need? We're going to be 5 minutes early. Is that okay with you guys?
When I host the green card, you have 1 minute left for whichever it is. You know, intros, you get 3 minutes total, but 1 minute left. The yellow card, you're down to 30 seconds, and the red card is stopped.
Okay. Are we going to see the pledge?
Yes. Yes, we need to do the pledge. Sorry. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And since we don't have a microphone and I have a voice that projects, everyone needs to speak loudly. And if you can't hear in the back, please just raise your hand instead of saying you can't hear. Okay? Thank you. And you can stand wherever you want.
I'm ready.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I'm Steve Spodyak, candidate for sheriff. I'd like to thank you all for coming this evening. It's great to see such a good turnout. I think we all know that this is an important election, not just here in Park County, but across our state and across the nation as well. I'd also like to say a quick thanks to the Republican Central Committee. I don't know exactly how much work it took to put into getting this event together this evening, but I imagine it took quite a bit, and so I would like to say thank you for giving us all the opportunity to come out and answer questions and have a forum in order to help our voters become educated on what candidate they're going to vote for sheriff this election. So like I said, I'm Steve Spodyak. I'm a Colorado native. I've been a part of the Park County community for about the last 30 years. I live here in the Bailey area. I have 2 boys. They're 9 and almost 6 years old. They go to school at Deer Creek Elementary. Their education, their safety is important to me. I have deep roots in this county. This county is important to me. And one of the main reasons that I'm running for sheriff is just that. I care about you all. I care about this county. And it is important to me what happens here. And I have a vision for the Park County Sheriff's Office to be a progressive law enforcement agency that is top-notch in quality. So I would appreciate your support going forward. A little bit more about me. I'm a graduate of Platte Canyon High School and also Adams State University in the San Luis Valley in Colorado, where I earned a bachelor's degree in history and a bachelor's degree in sociology with an emphasis in criminology. And that's really where my law enforcement interest started, was studying sociology and earning that degree there. As far as my law enforcement experience goes, I'm currently a detective with the Park County Sheriff's Office. I have the rank of Detective Corporal. I'm also the leader of our SWAT team, so I'm the SWAT team leader. I've also been a municipal police officer, a deputy sheriff, a railroad police special agent, and senior special agent. As a railroad police special agent, I was an explosives and patrol canine handler. One of the things that makes me a little bit different than the other candidates up here is having that private sector law enforcement experience. One of the things that taught me being a police officer for a corporation versus a government entity is really how important money is. To be frugal with it, how that money is spent, and to make sure that the money that you have to spend is spent in the best possible fashion. Sorry, was that 30 seconds?
10 now.
Okay. All right, so I'm down to 10 seconds, but again, I would really like to thank you all for coming out this evening. It's great to see such a great turnout. I'm Steve Spodyak. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Gary Rhodes, also one of your candidates for Park County Sheriff. Like Steve said, I'd like to thank everyone for showing up. We've got a pretty big crowd here, more than what I expected. It shows that you care. I moved here 18 years ago, and I'm also married. I've got 3 adult children. What brought me to Park County 18 years ago was a promotion. I've got approximately 27 years of law enforcement experience. Unlike Steve and the other gentleman up here, my law enforcement education is very diverse. My experience is very diverse. I've spent approximately 20 years in Colorado State Patrol. First 10 years of my career, I was in Jefferson County as a trooper. In 2001, I got promoted to a corporal. I was a corporal for the State Patrol. I was a first line supervisor. That promotion, again, the corporal brought me to Park County. The deal that I wanted to do when I moved to Park County, one of the reasons I did move to Park County, very small community, right? 2,200 square miles. It's huge. But here in Bailey, we're very, very small, very tight-knit. What better place to raise my children? What better place to get involved? Right when I moved up here, I immediately got involved in the community. I became a coach, a mentor, and I still do that today. In 2006, I got promoted to sergeant. As a sergeant, again, I was first-line supervisor. I was acting captain. I was responsible for a troop of anywhere from 8 to 20 troopers. I was also responsible for 5 different counties surrounding Park County. As a supervisor, I was responsible for their scheduling. I was responsible for their daily activities, whether it be deploying the resources where we needed them. I was responsible for their work plans, their performance management plans, as well as their evaluations, year-end evaluations. Again, I continue to coach up here as I do today. I got very involved. This is my home. Park County is my home. I'm looking forward to continuing to raise my family, my grandkids, my children, and I want it to be safe. This is my and your community, and we got to make it safe for everybody, and that is my goal. I left State Patrol in 2010 and became a medical legal death investigator. I've been doing that for approximately the last 7.5 years now. I've investigated over 3,000 deaths. I've covered every death from a simple hospice to a homicide. My flyers over here will talk about my training and experience. I think if you look at that, you'll see that I am more qualified than any other candidate up here. We all have our strengths and our weaknesses. I don't need to tell you about all my experience, all my training. My goal is to make this community safe, make it a safe place for all of you, your families, as well as me and my family. We're going through a lot of changes right now. Park County's facing a lot of difficulties, whether it's retention, our pay, their pay, and the community trust. If I'm elected as your sheriff, I will address every one of those issues. I have an interest in all of your futures, as well as mine, my family's, hopefully my grandkids. If I'm elected, I will address those. I will correct those. I'll work my best to do what's right for all of us.
Kevin takes lead.
Good evening. My name is John Ty, candidate for sheriff. And I just want to say that I want to thank you as the community that I've been able to work for 18 years, almost 19 years. It's been a pleasure to work for you. It's been also a commitment on my part to make sure that I have worked for you and done my best as a law enforcement officer in this county. I've been in law enforcement for 33 years. I've worked for the City of Los Angeles. I've worked for the City of Bellevue. I've been here, again, 18 years. I've been also your county commissioner for 2 terms of total of 8 years. And I feel that I bring a little difference to this actual elected position, and that is one of an administrator. And I had other departments underneath me. I've had Road and Bridge, I've had Human Services, I've had Communications. So I've had a gamut of a lot of people that I've actually been a supervisor for. I brought a lot to Park County in the fact that during my time as I brought the emergency manager to Park County. I made sure that she brought in numerous grants so that we could actually bridge our communications problem in Park County. That's thousands of dollars that we're able to bring to the bottom line. That's what we have to do for the sheriff's office right now. We have to find a way that we can fund that agency and have more manpower so that we're able to actually help the people of Park County. A little bit about myself. I have a wife of 37 years, 3 children that are grown. One of which has worked for the Department of Human Services. She's a policy developer for spinal cord injuries. I have another child that has served our nation in the Coast Guard. And now he is a maintenance engineer for DIA. And then I also have another son that's a internet salesperson, and he's doing very well. I'm proud of all 3 of them. I'm proud of being a Park County Deputy Sheriff at the schools. I bring, I think, a wide range of experience that will actually help this department in the ability to bring a leader and have leadership, that we have the ability to change this department and move it on. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Monty Gore, and I'm also a candidate for sheriff. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming. This is a very important office, and in a very short time, you are going to be picking your next sheriff, and that's going to have some dramatic effects on the way that the sheriff's office is going, whether it continues to go the way it is, or whether it's improved. I have over 36 years of law enforcement experience, 24 years at command level. That means I have risen through the ranks as a supervisor, all the way through lieutenant, through captain, and through undersheriff. I've dealt with a lot of the issues and the challenges that an administrator has. I've sat down with county commissioners, and I've had to work on budgets, I've had to work on legal issues, I've had to work on lawsuits, I've had to work on personnel issues. That's what I do. 2 of the former county commissioners, Lenny Walker and Richard Hodges, have both endorsed me because I've had to sit across the table and I've had to quantify reasons that I wanted equipment, manpower, material, whatever the case may be. I've also worked with the 1033 program put out by the state. I've got literally millions of dollars worth of equipment for the sheriff's office that has benefited that department, benefited fire districts for wildland fires and fighting wildland fires. As far as my experience, I've also managed investigations. I've managed homicide investigations. I've managed the jail. One of the biggest liabilities that a sheriff has is running a jail. I was a jail administrator in Summit County, and I was a jail administrator here in Park County. So those are some tough responsibilities that you have, and I'm experienced in those areas. As far as my background, I graduated from Post in 1992. I graduated with a 4.0 GPA. I also went to the U.S. Department of Justice National Institute of Corrections Academy. It was a leadership academy. I'm also a graduate of the FBI National Academy. I'm the only candidate here that graduated from that academy. I was invited in 2011. I took graduate level courses in the hardest police science courses available and graduated once again with a 4.0 GPA. Your sheriff needs to be competent. Your sheriff needs to be trained. Your sheriff needs to know how to run and manage an organization. And I'm that candidate. Thank you very much.
Tom LeBron. I'm also running for sheriff of Park County. I appreciate y'all coming here tonight and putting this on. I started out in law enforcement in 1979 at 19 years old. I had to have my mother had to buy my gun for me because I was so young. But I started out in patrol. I worked a lot of cases as a patrol officer. I worked accidents, I worked traffic, I worked robberies, I worked burglaries. I worked every aspect that you can think of in a patrol division. I did that for 9 years. After 9 years of doing that, I got promoted to detective and I went into a narcotics unit. I worked narcotics for 16 years. And in that narcotics unit, I learned how to do a lot of different things at the federal level, working high-level investigations for narcotics. I did hundreds of search warrants. I did hundreds of high-risk arrests. A lot of very dangerous type situations, and I did a lot of them. I always was very concerned about the safety of our officers out there, and that was one of my major goals, was always whenever we did something of that nature, that we would always make sure we came home safe. After being in narcotics, I went into the fraud unit, worked 2 years in a fraud unit, and again, it's going from patrol as one aspect of law enforcement, going into narcotics is another aspect of law enforcement, and then into fraud. After 2 years in fraud, then I went into homicide for 5 years. And I worked homicides from the beginning to where we got the call that we had a dead body that had been either shot, stabbed, or beaten to death. And I worked those cases from the beginning to the end. I worked those cases all the way into court, testifying in court, and then convicting the person. A lot of times those murderers would plead guilty. When a murderer pleads guilty, it's a compliment to you, the officer, the investigator, that you did a good job. Because when they plead guilty to murder, to go to prison for life, that's a huge compliment for that investigator working that job. Then I went into public corruption. I worked public corruption for 3 years. A lot of high-level type investigations. During those 35 years of law enforcement, I also have thousands of hours of training. I have a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Troy State University. I was a SWAT team leader. I was on a SWAT team for 9 years. And I spent a lot of time doing a lot of training for officers. I was a defensive tactics instructor, a firearms instructor, a general course instructor. So I have a lot of training in training other people. My wife is the head volleyball coach at the high school in Fairplay. She also retired from law enforcement after 33 years, working a lot of murder cases and narcotics also. My son is a graduate of Texas A&M. He's an ensign in the Navy Reserve. And we have been living up here for 4 years now. This is our home. We enjoy the area. We built our cabin up here. I bled on that cabin, and I'll die in that cabin. But we do love the area. It's a beautiful area. Thank you very much.
Okay, gentlemen, you guys need to get a drink of water, go to the bathroom, you're ready to go.
There you go.
There you go. All right. And you can ask me to repeat the question before you start your time again. Okay, qualifications, and we're going to start with Steve and then go down the road, okay?
Okay.
Please list your top qualifications you possess that make you the best candidate for the office of Park County Sheriff. And it's 2 minutes.
So the question is, list my top qualifications to be the sheriff in Park County. So I think that's an interesting question, because a lot of qualifications and a lot of experience are really relative type things. I think that the thing that makes me the best candidate for sheriff is my character. And I think the biggest testament to that is something that I mentioned when I came up here and introduced myself to you. I'm the SWAT team leader for our SWAT team at the Sheriff's Office here. That's not a position that I asked for, that's not a position that I applied for. That's a position that I was nominated for by my fellow SWAT team members. So what that says to me is that group of folks trust me. They trust me indefinitely. And I think that that goes to my character, because those folks believe in me. The rest of the people that I work with believe in me. Now I do also have qualifications that I believe would make me a good candidate for sheriff. I've been through police leadership schools. I have supervised contract security guards when I worked for the Railroad Police as a senior special agent. So I supervised internal placement and contract security guards. So I have supervision experience. But I think, going back to what I said to begin with, I think that the thing that is most important for your sheriff is to be someone who can lead the department. Leadership is not managing. Leadership is not directing. Leadership is not supervising. Leadership is having the ability to have people follow you, believe in you, succeed for you, and do the best that they can for you. And that is why I'm the best candidate for sheriff. Thank you.
Maybe to ask you again when you go.
Okay.
All right.
So again, I've got about 27 years of experience, and again, it's very diverse. As a state trooper, I trained more troopers in the state of Colorado when I left in 2010 than any other trooper in the state of Colorado. I recruited more youth academy recruits, specifically here in Park County, than any other trooper in the state of Colorado. While I was a trooper for the State Patrol, again for approximately 20 years, I also taught at the academy. I taught from 1992 until 2010. When I was promoted to corporal, again, I was a first-line supervisor. I acted as a sergeant in that sergeant's, when he was gone, when she was gone. I got that leadership experience. I got that supervisory experience. Then when I became a sergeant, I was responsible for every trooper within the 11th Judicial Area. Park County, Fremont County, Chaffee County, Custer County. I was responsible for all these troops. Up to 20 troopers. More troopers than we had deputies. Again, I did the scheduling. I was responsible for the work plans, the evaluations. When I was a sergeant here in Park County, my team and I reduced fatal and serious injury accidents on Highway 285 by 85%. Huge. We accomplished our goal. The rumble strip that you see here from Bailey to Fairplay, I worked with CDOT and accomplished that. I'm very proud to say that while I was a sergeant, we did not lose one high school student to a motor vehicle fatality accident. We lost one, but it was due to somebody else's error. I'm very involved. As a coach, sometimes I'm responsible for 40 of our youth when we're down in town. That's a huge responsibility. I have that leadership. I have that supervisory experience. I'm a leader. Like Steve said, different than a manager, I'm a leader. I will lead. I'm done.
Why am I the best candidate for sheriff? That's a great question. I've got 33 years of law enforcement experience. I've gone to the schools. I've been to leadership schools. I've gone ahead and ran Park County when the sheriff wasn't here or when the other supervisors weren't here. I made sure our people came back, made sure they were safe. But I think the biggest thing about being sheriff is you have to be goal-minded. I mean that you have to go after those goals and make sure that you set them. When I was a commissioner, I sat as an elected position and I went after things that helped our constituents. One of which was our actual communications. Park County South Park could not talk to Bailey and vice versa. We had to take care of that. We made sure, and that was a goal for me to set. We could not actually talk when we had the tragedy at Platte Canyon High School. We could not talk to the people that came into Park County and that, the responding officials and that. So I made sure that that was a priority, that we got that done. Yes, we went out for thousands of dollars and we made sure it got done. Now here in Park County, the next sheriff has to be goal-minded, has to be a leader. And I believe I'm that leader to set our people straight and to make sure that they do the job for our citizens. And I've been there. I've been there for almost 19 years. I know what our deputies go through and how that we're going to have to change that. and how we're going to have to actually fund that. We have to go out and get some more manpower so that we have the ability, so that we can keep you safe, our citizens, and also our deputies. That should be a priority for any sheriff that comes out onto that street and starts their first day, is to keep those deputies safe. And with that, we'll have the ability to actually make sure that we help our citizens in Park County. Thank you.
The best definition that I've heard of a leader is leaders do things right. And managers do the right thing. In order to be a good sheriff, you're going to have to step up into a leadership role. That's what the job is. You have to set the vision for the organization and the direction. But you also have to manage. You have to manage millions of dollars. You have to manage personnel. You have to manage jails. You have to manage courtroom security. You have to manage wildland fires. You have to be able to work with other partners and collaborators in order to accomplish the job. And those are the qualities that I possess. As far as qualifications, which I think was the question, once again, when I was a young lieutenant, I put myself through college and graduated with a degree in criminal justice with a 4.0 GPA. When I went to the Colorado Law Enforcement Training Academy, once again, I wanted to do the best I could because I take this serious. I graduated with a 4.0 GPA. I'm a graduate of the County Sheriff's Colorado Command School. I'm a graduate of basic and advanced SWAT courses. Once again, I'm a graduate of the U.S. Department of Justice National Institute of Corrections Leadership Academy. I'm a graduate of many schools, and I have thousands and thousands of hours of law enforcement training and experience. I believe in training our officers and getting them the best training that we can. Mike Quaintance is sitting in the back of the room. Him and I are both instructors for John Farnham for Defense Training International. We work hard. I spent my time, even as an undersheriff, out on the range, teaching officers the fundamentals and how to use a firearm and how to do it correctly. That's my vision, and that's what we need to do. Thank you very much.
My qualifications are that I have 35 years of law enforcement in a bunch of different areas of the criminal justice system. And I know what every deputy and every investigator for Park County is supposed to do. What their jobs are, how they're supposed to work, how they're supposed to investigate crimes. I know how they're supposed to do it. I know how to get out there and help them and do a better job on it. One of the biggest things that I also have is after 35 years of law enforcement, I know how to deal with people. And I think sometimes it has been lost out here is how to deal with people. Because the thing is, the sheriff's office, you don't work for the sheriff's office, we work for you. And we have to listen to you. When I was a field training officer teaching young rookies how to do the job out here, one of the things that I try to teach them is, it's not your job as a cop to put people in jail, it's your job to take care of the situation. And that's what one of the most important things is that we have to have out here, is that our officers respect the public. And the sheriff has to respect the public. The sheriff has to get out here and meet the public. And not just up here in Bailey, and not just here in Fairplay, down in Guffey, Lake George, Alma, all these different places, the sheriff has got to get out and meet the people and let the people know who he is. Because that's one of the most important things is the sheriff has to be respected and liked by the public. And I can do that because for 35 years I've been dealing with the people. When you go out and work cases, you deal with the public. You deal with the good public, you deal with the bad public. So you have to have that experience of being able to come out and help the people and listen to the people so that you can take care of the situation. And that's what I think is lacking here. Leadership is very important. I have that ability, but that's what we need. Thank you. high.
So my top qualifications, I will tell you that it's my character. Something else. I'm the only one of these candidates that can say that I've worked in every division of this sheriff's office. Okay, I've worked in the jail. I've worked patrol. I've been a school resource officer. I've been a member of our SWAT team, and I'm currently a detective in the investigations division. So I understand how this sheriff's office works. One thing that I think is lost a lot of times on these qualifications is what's going on at the ground level, because that's the level that deals with the public on a day-to-day basis. And I think sometimes when you get into upper management, that gets lost because there's a disconnect between what's going on at the ground level and what's going on at the top. I don't have that disconnect because I'm there, I understand what's going on, and again, I've heard the term leadership. That's the most important thing, not supervision, not management. The sheriff needs to be a leader, and that's me. Thank you.
Myself and one other gentleman up here are the only two that have never been employed by Park County Sheriff's Department. Something's not working, and we need to identify that. And I think I've identified that. We got a problem with retention. We got a problem with salaries. We need somebody new. It's time for a change, folks. Somebody that can come in with a fresh set of goals, a new mission, a new vision. Let's get up to the 21st century. Let's recognize our deputies. Let's lead those deputies in the right direction. What do we need to do to retain our deputies? We need to lead them. We need to lead our deputies. We need to lead our sheriff's office. And right now, I don't think we have that leadership. These gentlemen have had their chance. It's time for change, and on that change. Thank you.
Again, my name is John Ty. I've been here 19 years. I've worked very, very hard for this community in that. I have a BA in criminal justice. I've worked all kinds of cases, homicides. I've worked child porn. We just got 10 years for an individual. I worked with the Justice Department. So I believe that our department does work those cases, and we work them very well, very, very well in that. So we have to get after, I do believe, manpower. We need to make sure that we have deputies. We have to find a way that we can fund those individuals and get them out onto the street. And we have to have a plan, thank you, of doing that. If we have more officers out on the street, we're going to have the ability to serve you all. We have 2 on the other side, we have 2 on this side right now. That's all the deputies that we have on right now. So we need to have the ability to have manpower, and we need to go after that. We need to have a sheriff that's goal-minded that will go after that, and we need to have that for you citizens and for also us deputies. Thank you.
One of the things we need to establish and do better is we need to reestablish public trust. Public trust is extremely important. Once you lose public trust as an agency, you lose credibility. And that's what we see occurring right now, and that's the big issue. As a candidate, I can fix the issues. I'm knowledgeable of what those issues are, and that's what I do. One of the things, as far as working with the community, I've been responsible. I've been the president of the South Park Park and Recreation District. Built a beautiful recreation center, helped the community do that. I've been the HOA, my HOA president for Foxtail Pine. I was elected, I think, several times to that. Helped the association legalize their pond and build a brand new reservoir so that we were compliant with Colorado water law. Thank you very much.
As I already stated, I'm a true professional law enforcement person, and I firmly believe in doing the right thing. And that is so important that it needs to happen out here in Park County. And the issues that people have with the sheriff's office here in Park County have not just started in the last year or two. They've been going on for quite a while here in Park County. So my goal is I have not worked with this sheriff's office. I know very few people in this sheriff's office. Steve and John, I know them a little bit. Other than that, I don't know anybody else in the sheriff's office. So if there's issues in the sheriff's office, I will take care of them. I'm not going to have anybody to protect. I will take care of the issues and make this into a professional law enforcement agency that the citizens will be proud to have. If they have anything going on in their house, they come out, they'll be proud to have a professional law enforcement person out here taking care of their problem for them. I believe firmly that to tell you I am going to do the right thing, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, it'll be the right thing to do. Thank you.
Gary, who will be going first? This is from Mike Frazier. I hopefully said that right. What is your management experience that would qualify you to manage the Park County Sheriff's Office? I didn't know it was going to be so close to the other guy. Do you need me to read it again? Yes. Okay. What is your management experience that would qualify you to manage the Park County Sheriff's Office? And it came from Mike Frazier.
Again, I bring to the Sheriff's Office approximately 27 years of law enforcement experience. Within that 27 years, I've accomplished a lot. First line supervisor. Taught at the academy. Not only did I teach the state troopers in that academy, I taught police corps. Similar to what CLEDA is. For you that don't know, the Colorado State Patrol Academy was the leading police academy in the state of Colorado. We were responsible for pretty much training every police officer in the state of Colorado with very few exceptions. My current job is a medical legal death investigator. I'm a field training officer there as well. I'm a lead investigator. I wrote policies, both firearms policy, self-defense policies. I'm a leader. I've always been a leader. Like I said earlier, I'm very involved in the community. I'm a coach over here. I'm not only a leader for the adults that I work with, I'm a leader for our youth. You as parents in here, some of you have given me the faith to take your children down to the Denver metro area. That is a leader. Those young adults are our future. If we don't take care of them, they're not going to take care of us. We need to take care of our youth. I'm very involved. Again, I've got approximately 10 years of law enforcement supervisory experience as an administrator. With me being the sergeant here is very much like the sheriff. I'm responsible for the complaints, internal, external, responsible for their daily activity. Everything they do is ultimately my responsibility. It comes back to me, just like it would come back to the sheriff. I guess most importantly, I'm a leader. And like Monty said, yeah, you do manage, but you manage the jail. You manage items, paperwork, money. You don't manage people, you lead them. And I'm going to lead you.
What is my management skills? And I'm going to start with this, because we're talking a lot about leadership. Leadership starts, I think, at a very young age, and you grow with it. And in each part of your life, you go ahead and you get better with it. I was an All-American at Eastern Washington University in football, and I brought that skill to me, and I've coached at Platte Canyon High School a number of years for the basketball team, the ladies basketball team and the boys basketball team. I've started the school resource officer program at Platte Canyon High School. I'm very proud of that. I've taught DARE. I think DARE is one of the, it's a very good, actually a very good program in which it teaches you to talk, teaches you to be able to speak. Whereas I think it's harder to speak in front of an individual or a group of young men and women that are in class than it is right now, because they have some interesting questions and they're very, very honest with it. So they're a good group. My management skill, I think, comes from being a commissioner, being an elected position, and being able to actually run the county and make sure the county's functioning, and listening to complaints, and making sure that I respond to those people that have those complaints in an orderly and in a timely manner. And that's part of management. But the main thing about it is when that leadership, being an elected official, is one of which I've learned to lead. I know what it's going to take to be able to make sure that when I have my deputies out here in the field, what they're going to do. When they come back, if I have a complaint, how to actually go ahead and respond to that complaint. And make sure those deputies are learning actually on the job, and also being able to function and serve our public that they need to be. So, thank you.
Once again, folks, leaders do the right things. Managers do things right. I've worked my way up through the ranks with Summit County Sheriff's Office all the way to captain. We didn't have an undersheriff there. The captains were designated undersheriffs. If the sheriff left, he would designate myself or the other captain as the acting sheriff. I have been managing, and that was the question, I've been managing organizations for 24 years. I've been writing policy and procedure for that long. I've been keeping the department out of trouble. I've been working with commissioners. I've been working with the district attorney's office. I'm familiar with how to keep work on legislative updates, changes in court case law, and the myriads and myriads of other things that go along with being a manager. Is there anybody here that has a business of their own, owns their own business? A couple of you. Do you think it's a little bit different having an entry-level employee that thinks they can manage your business? Do you think they could do that? Resounding no. You have to have the experience, and you have to have the intelligence, and you have to have the background to be a good sheriff. And I'm that candidate. From my academic statements, as far as working hard, past performance is indicative of future performance. When somebody gives it their all, they don't just settle for passing a test, they don't just settle for passing a course, but they do their very best. They work hard so that they do the best that they can and be the best person that they can. Also, as a leader, integrity is vital, and I would never compromise my integrity.
When I started out in law enforcement at a young age, within probably 3 years, I was sent to organize and start a field training officer program. So I was like 23 years old, and the administration saw in me somebody to send to this class to learn how to teach new rookies how to be police officers. That is, they recognized the leadership skills that I had. I also became a corporal. I was first time took the test, passed, became a corporal. And having the knowledge of being a law enforcement officer, having the knowledge to know what each person out here is doing is part of being a manager. Because if you, as a manager, if you don't know what that person down at the bottom is, how he's supposed to do his job, then how are you going to manage him? So I know how to do these jobs that everybody out here does, and so I can manage those people because I understand their function. I also, for about a year, I was in charge of a drug unit. And during that time of running the drug unit, one of the things that you have to be also aware of is you have to manage the activities of that drug unit and supervise. And when you have events, planned events such as search warrants and high-risk arrests, you have to have the knowledge on how to do that properly, because you don't want to have anybody getting hurt. and having good manager skills and understanding what each person's job is very important, and I can do that. I've been in charge of mutual aid. Our agency was in charge of mutual aid throughout the state. We would go out, we would be with the sheriff's office. We were in charge of the mutual aid. Anything that they needed, they came to us for it, and we provided whatever services they required. I've been on hurricane details, in charge of squads in those details, and all of that just goes for, I have the leadership ability to do the work here with the sheriff's office. Thank you.
So, management experience to be sheriff, I believe was the question. Now, there's a couple qualifications that a person has to be sheriff. They have to be a resident of the county that they're in. They have to be a citizen of the United States of America. This is an elected position. So this is a position that's chosen by the people. Is law enforcement experience necessary for that? Yes, I believe that it is. This is my 14th year in law enforcement. I'm a lot younger than the other candidates up here. Because of that, I don't have the years of experience that they have. But because of that, also, I have the energy and I have the enthusiasm to push forward in a very demanding position, that of sheriff. Another thing that I think is really important for a sheriff, being the head of an organization, is connections and relationships. Now, being a current member of the sheriff's office here, I'm, I guess, fortunate in a way that I have very good working relationships with other entities within the county, as well as some of the counties that surround us that are important to us, as far as needing assistance. Jefferson County, Teller County, Chaffee County, Fremont County, Summit County, Lake County, and we touched Douglas County a little tiny bit. But I have a very good working and existing relationship with our district attorney for the 11th Judicial District. I have good working relationships with human services. I have good working relationships with those in county government. Those are already established. Those are things that, as your sheriff, I will not have to work to build those relationships because they're already there, they're already strong, they already exist. And the sheriff's office can grow from there with me as the leader. Thank you.
Just 1 minute.
The way I was brought up, the way I was trained is you lead people. You manage businesses. You manage money. The sheriff's, his position in his main titles, administrator. When I was a sergeant for state patrol, I went out and I rode with my people. You need to get involved with your people. I rode with my troopers at least once a month, each one of them, to find out what are they doing. How do I need to lead them in the right direction? Are they doing what is right? As your sheriff, I will be involved. I'll be involved in the community. I'll come out. I'll set up these community advisory groups, the youth groups again that we once had. I'll get input from you. Without knowing what's happening in the county, what you as our customers want and need, how do we lead our people? It starts right here, folks. It starts with you. We need you to tell us, and we will lead our people in the right direction to accomplish those goals.
Management starts with understanding your community. When you do a burglary in Lake George and you've done the fingerprinting, you got all the information, and then you get the domestic violence in Fairplay and you have to respond to Fairplay. And responding through in 30-degree below weather and being able to get there through a herd of elk and understanding this community with that type of environment that we have to work with to get the job done. That's where management, I stand, as one that understands this department and understand what some of the obstacles are here within it. We have to make sure, again, that we go after our deputies so they know how to work within our community in that. So right now, as a manager, you have to understand your community and the people that you work for and the geographical areas that you are in that. So, thank you.
I'll say it again, leaders do the right thing, managers do things right. I have the management experience to lead this organization. County Sheriffs of Colorado actually sent me out to perform audits on different departments that were having issues. I had to go through the financials, through the budgets. I had to interview personnel. I had to try to identify what was going on with these different organizations. I would do an audit report for the sheriff or the CEO of the organization and express what was going on within that organization and what areas they needed to fix. When other peers and organizations, such as the County Sheriffs of Colorado, send people like me out, they have faith that I understand what I'm doing. And I hope you do too. Thank you.
I think as a manager, you have to get out and let your people know what their job is. And in order to do that, you have to listen to the community. I don't think that saying that a sheriff's position is an administrative function. Yes, it is an administrative function, but you have to know what you're doing in law enforcement. And by getting out with the people, getting out with your troops, and informing them that they have got to listen to the public, they have got to do a good job, they have got to be thorough in their investigations. Because if you're managing these people and if they don't know how to do their job, then your management skills are not good. And training is one of the biggest things that I can say is that our people need to get. They need to get more training so that they know how to do their job better to serve you, the public. That is one of the most important things that we have to do out here is serving you, the public. Thank you.
So again, management experience qualifying you to be sheriff. I talked about the qualifications that are there. One of the things that's interesting about being elected sheriff is you don't have to be post-certified. You have a year in order to gain that. So what that says to me is that a resume of leadership experience is not necessarily the most important thing to be your sheriff. Like I said earlier, it's leadership. You have to be able to lead people. People have to want to follow you. They have to want to do a good job for you. And as your sheriff, my top priority is going to be to retain quality people within the sheriff's office. Park County as a whole has been a revolving door for as long as I can remember. If we can't keep quality people here, then we're not going to be able to provide the quality services that you folks, that my family, that everyone in this county deserves. And those services need a strong leader that people are going to want to follow, they're going to want to stay here, they're going to want to do their best for. Thank you.
Did you guys need to get any water or anything? You're good. Hopefully we can have a different type of question. The Sheriff's Office currently has a mission statement by which the officers serve under. If you have a mission statement prepared, please share that. If not, what key components of a mission statement would you propose? And if you want me to give this to you guys to read, that would be fine.
Is this from the group or is it from?
This is from the committee, and I'm actually just going, do you want?
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
I'm just,
My mission statement today is going to be very short and sweet. It's going to be protect and serve. As your sheriff, you have to protect the people that you work for. And so that's a key component of my mission statement, will be to protect. And that goes to our schools. I've shown that aspect of myself within our schools to make sure that we have a school resource officer. When we didn't, I argued for the fact that we need to have a school resource officer, not only at Platte Canyon, but South Park and all the other schools within our county. We definitely need to protect, and we need to protect those people that are targets, soft targets, within the community and that. So the other part of it would be then to serve. I'm here to serve. I've been here to serve for the last almost 19 years now, to serve our people. And you have to see that within the person that's talking to you right now. Is that person committed? Is that person committed to get up, put his pants on, and to get out there when you have to go after a person that's in a pursuit, because you only have one deputy on, or you have maybe two, and you have to make sure that you're out there. The sheriff has to be listening to that radio. So my mission statement would be very simple, and that is to protect and make sure that we're protecting, and the other part of it would be to serve. I think that's a key component within how we should act as a sheriff. And if you have that, I think your day and your years that as a sheriff will go very well. Thank you.
The members of the Park County Sheriff's Office will uphold the public trust. We will serve our community with integrity, with accountability, with transparency. We will strive in all occasions to do the right thing. We will represent the citizens of Colorado. We will protect life as our first priority. We will protect property as our second priority. We will follow the law enforcement code of ethics. That is the mission statement that the Sheriff's Office would have under my leadership. Folks, once again, a fish rots from the head down. When you have poor leadership, you have results that we see today. You need to be accountable to you, the citizens. You are the employers of the sheriff. And the sheriff needs to have transparency. He needs to be accountable to you. When you as the public or the media ask for information, that needs to be provided in full. If the sheriff makes a mistake, the sheriff needs to stand up here, look you in the eye, and say, I own this one. I'll do better in the future. That is what's hard. That's upholding the public trust. And that's what's wrong with this organization. As a leader of this organization, I think I'm the only one here that said I'm not going to retain the current command staff. Command staff needs to go. I'm out of time. Thank you.
Well, my mission is a little bit simpler than that. To make this into a very professional law enforcement agency that is well respected by the public. I think that encompasses everything that we want with the Sheriff's Office. One of the biggest things that I see that we have an issue with is the salaries of these deputies out here. And the only way that these salaries are going to be increased is going to be if the public respects and likes or loves the Sheriff's Office. Because if the public will back up the Sheriff's Office and come to the County Commissioners meeting and let the County Commissioners know that we want the Sheriff's Office to get better pay, we have a better retention of the employees, it'll go a long way. But the only way that you can do that is if the public likes the Sheriff's Office.